Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys, doing a special midday podcast for you guys. It's your host, Matt Marrero, along with your other host,
Tristan Walter.
Thank God. I was like, no, Tristan's gone. Well, time to do the show alone. Man, Bleach sword frenzies. Whoa, what's up with that, right? What's really funny is to anyone listening live, to any of the one of you listening live, what I think is funny is that when we were doing our Bleach Movie 4 podcast just 2 days ago, we said, oh, yeah, and the next one's going to be Super, Dragon Ball Super, because that's what we usually do on Fridays now ever since Super started airing.
Right.
Apparently Super doesn't air until August 2nd. Whoops.
Yep.
So I looked that up. Right, I looked that up last night. I was like, yeah, I'm going to watch me some Oh.
Yay, those guys putting our foot in our mouths, metaphorically.
Well, I mean, that's what we always do. To be fair, that's what they all listen to every day. So, you know what? Hey, here we are doing what we were going to do right after Super. Not the same day, but probably in the near future at least. You know, probably. I was actually going to see if you were free Sunday.
It's Bleach Week.
Today being Friday. Oh, so you are free Sunday.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
We'll discuss this after the show.
They'll have to find out.
No, it's great because because Tristan accidentally told me when he's coming back from Africa, right? He's really going to Africa, everyone. He told me by accident when he's coming back home from Africa, and because of that, I'm like, great, so then we can film some stuff. And he was so mad at himself. So now, he just, like, even if something flips out, oh, Sunday, yeah, I'd be free. Oh, really, would you? I don't know, man. Like, aren't we all free in a way?
Oh, my God.
I'll have to get back in contact with you, man.
Well, if you really want me to play along with the joke, then I could say I know what Baishin feels like because it feels like I'm fused together with you.
It does. It really does.
You can't get away, guys. He's keeping me captive in his basement for podcasts. Yeah.
Come on. You're in the attic. You get a view.
I have a window. I can send carrier pigeons.
I was going to say, you have a window. See, it's like, it's weird. To me, I'm like, see, he gets a view. To everyone else, he gets to see what he can't get. He's just looking out the window like, never leaving again. But,
3 minutes until showtime.
What?
Never mind.
I didn't hear anything you just said, but I assume that you're an idiot, so it's okay.
It's okay. I assume that of you, too.
Oh, good. As long as we're on the same page.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, so we're doing the second Bleach OVA, the Sealed Sword Frenzy. It's hard for me to, like, say the name over and over and over again because some would think, but it's not, Sally sells seashells by the seashore. It's like, yes, but it starts that off and then destroys it. Where I would argue it's even worse to be like, Sally sells seashells by the pier. And you're like, wait, what? No, that's not right. No, that's not, no. What? No, that's not right. So it constantly throws you off. It was like, the Sealed Sword Frenzy. And I was like, yes, okay. Sword Sealed Frenzy, crap, no. No, Frenzy Sealed, no. But, so we're doing this OVA, which, strangely enough, is the only other OVA. So we've actually come to a stop with all of our Bleach-related podcasts, unless we start doing the show, which we're very weary about. We may, I don't know, we're kind of, I mean, I'm personally like in the middle of that. But yeah.
But so, Matt, we could do riffs of filler episodes.
Well, don't mind if no, but I don't know, Bleach filler wasn't as funny to me as DBZ filler.
Yeah, I was just... It's a false spark, Matt. Go with it.
No, believe me, for exclusive content, I would love to, but, like our DBZ riffs. But
Yes.
I don't see Bleach being that funny.
Okay.
It's like, because its filler is more like take us seriously.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, that's true.
Look at this filler. Look at this filler, right? This is technically filler being an OVA and all. It actually came out a year after the previous OVA that we podcasted on, I believe on Monday, and where that has to do with, the Bleach OVA, Memories in the Rain. This one came out a year later at Jump Fest of 2005, and I assume they sat there and thought, oh, let's do this as a yearly tradition, because, hell, you had the first one, you had the second one, and then there was no third. And if this one, there were some plot holes, and it's really funny, right? Some inconsistencies, some continuity errors. But minus that, I think the overall plot was really well written for its time, for how much time it was given. And I would have loved to have seen these every year with the animation getting updated as each and every year goes by. And I really would have enjoyed it. Sadly, we didn't get any of that. Bleach is weird in that way, where maybe that, I feel like, they really wanted to obviously put out Bleach in the sense that, we're having week after week after week of anime. Like, they didn't stop and go, no, we can't have filler. No, it was always about, obviously, like any show, making money, getting it out there, keeping the fans involved, and things like that. But it just feels weird that when it came to movies were cool, because it's like, oh, wait every 2 years because we want to bring out quality rather than quantity, right? But these OVAs, it was interesting, too, because, it just feels like it's been popular. It's part of that big three, but there's something about it that wasn't always as popular. Now, some people may say that's what One Piece is, but that's just in the States, right? In Japan, One Piece is huge.
Yeah.
Like, I would argue in Japan, One Piece is actually, in terms of popularity, at the top of the big three, quote-unquote, which for a while has been Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. I know I've heard Fairy Tail usurped it, but I'm old. I'm not, I'm not that new and up in the times. But as far as I know, when I think of the big three, back around when it was like, DBZ's gone, what are big three? Back when we were in high school.
Yeah.
Bringing up hot podcasts. Back when we were in high school. I remember One Piece, Bleach, Naruto. It always feels like Bleach was popular, of course. I love Bleach. You love Bleach. Hell, we're podcasting about it right now. But it was always a bit lower in terms of what it got. In terms of, maybe that's just a personal choice. Maybe that's just their choice, right? But usually when something's making a lot of money, you'll see companies milk it for all it's worth.
Right.
And it feels like Bleach was never milked. And if something isn't milked, in a weird way, it feels like it's not popular. Do you see what I'm, like, the kind of train of thought?
I see what you're getting at.
Yeah.
in the same sense, it might, I don't know, for the series it might have been a better thing that it didn't get, completely milked. Because it feels like maybe with the OVAs, maybe this is just me, but not that they probably couldn't have done it, but maybe they didn't think they could come up with, a decent enough, like, small plot line for each, like you said, for, like, Jump Festa, like, each year.
Yeah,
this one was nice, but I don't know if they could have done that alongside everything else each year, maybe?
No, I assume that's why. But I feel like it does have to do with money as well. And, I understand, I do believe that there has to be some type of, of course, creative block as well. Because, that's, but still, usually money trumps creative block. Like, we love Dragon Ball Z, but money clearly trumps any kind of creative block they could have had with yearly movies, sometimes coming even quicker, like as if two came out in the same year.
Right.
Because it was like only 10 or 11 months apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, creative block aside, it was just like, nope, do this. Well, this movie ended. What do we do? Make a new character. Okay, cool. What after that? Bring the guy back from the other movie. All right. What about that after this? Bring the guy back again. Like, again, when something's usually, when a character appears and it's like, even if it's filler, and that character is super duper popular, you bring them back a lot. Apparently, Broly, looking at you.
Broly. Sorry.
But anyway, so to be fair, it's weird to say this because it's like, to be fair though, Nappa has had almost the same amount of cameos. if we're bringing up non-canon and canon combined in a weird, like, it's like Nappa appeared once, right, then died. You never see him again until GT. Broly appeared in 3 different movies. Broly only has one more appearance higher than Nappa. So if Nappa appears in Super,
oh God,
Broly and Nappa are tied.
Oh God,
canon and non-canon mixed together.
Oh jeez.
Well, possible non-canon, because again, there's people keep on talking about whether GT's canon or not. I'm still on the canon boat, but I mean, we're not talking about GT right now. We're talking about Bleach, the good old sweet Bleach. So, before we dive into this movie, as we usually do, talking about bit by bit, what did you think about the film? Like overall, like did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Because I loved it.
Yeah, overall I enjoyed it. I thought it was nicely put together for a yearly release in OVA. I thought it was pretty well put together.
Yeah. Question. So you brought up to me before the show began a lot of different continuity errors that I'm not even going to sit here and go, that's nitpicking. Those are actually completely legit. So before we do our little thing, where we're like, hey, look at this, hey, look at that, in order, please, just throw them out there.
Okay. Well, one of the biggest ones for me was, I forget exactly where they were, but it was Ichigo, Renji, and Rukia, running to a scene of trouble. There's, something exploding in the background and whatever, and there are people running away in the distance. And I don't know, maybe it was just what I saw, like a version I saw, or it was, wrong sub, or I don't know. Rukia is actually telling the people in the world of the living, to hurry up, clear the area, that kind of thing. And it looks like she's actually, like, motioning to them, like, animation-wise.
Mm-hmm.
But hasn't it been established in the series that the people, like, normal people in the world of the living cannot see Shinigami?
Correct.
Or hear them, for that
matter? Pressure.
Yeah, unless you have, exactly. But these were, like, normal everyday people. I mean, granted, half the cast is normal everyday people, but still.
Yeah, but they're not the chosen normal everyday people that draw themselves near Ichigo. Yeah, no, I get you completely. All jokes aside, I get you. And it's funny because, usually I might have a remark, right? I might have some kind of retort, usually either with you or Satish Ram that I've done a lot of WWE shows with here, with those guys. And you're going to say, man, like, what's he going to say? No, I agree. You're right. Right? But usually I even have some kind of funny, maybe quote-unquote funny, quote-unquote witty joke, but it's like, no, you are completely correct.
No snappy, sarcastic comeback? What are you talking about? That's impossible.
I know. The scouter is broken. But yeah, no, I agree completely because, hey, when you have filler writers writing filler things, sometimes, things are a lot different than they were before. And that happens a lot, in different shows and things like that. And, I mean, hell, it's even happened on Doctor Who, not like filler writers, but, I mean, we've had some, if anyone knows about Doctor Who, alien travels through space and time in a police box that is actually a time machine bigger on the inside, et cetera, et cetera. Alien looks human, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Each and every series, they'll have some kind of thing that ties everything together, like a little tiny, like, it looks like as if it's an Easter egg, but it'll actually be a huge plot point later, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, every one of the newer series had something like this. Now, in one of the series, it was a different writer working. Okay, so obviously there's a head writer, and then there's other writers working on each and every episode, minus like the series opener and the series closer, which are usually written by the head writer, right? So what happens is there was one little seed that was being thrown around, and the head writer did not tell the other writer that the seed was being thrown around and mentioned. So an entire episode was written without any mention of that little tiny plot point. Now, I don't want to tell anyone what in case they want to watch, but I'll just say this much. Girl in the Fireplace, because I know you know, like, the series. Girl in the Fireplace, whatever was going on in that series, the little seed that I'm talking about, was not mentioned. Also, there was some relationship trouble going on with the couple that's on the ship, that traveled with the Doctor at the time. And they had no sense of relationship trouble whatsoever, because apparently, according to some rumors going on, the writer for that episode was not told that was going on.
Right.
Yeah. So you just had an entire episode that was not bad at all, but it did not have consistencies with what was going on before.
Right.
Or even after, technically. So, because it was just a one-off, right? So the idea is, you know, this OVA, this quote-unquote episode, this standalone special, it did not, you know, it had a lot of, not a lot, but it had some inconsistencies, and kind of, you know, and you might say, oh, Baishin's one of them. Not necessarily, because that can totally just happen randomly as a one-off anomaly occurrence. I mean, hell, you know, there's an entire lore surrounding these Shinigami that we don't know about, and that we will never know about, because you can never know everything about an entire lore. I mean, that would take Game of Thrones level, like, depth.
Right.
That
no, I think that's basically, like, what, I mean, even the series itself, but, like, especially the movies, and in this case the OVAs, you know, are kind of for, like, the little bits and pieces of the Soul Society that you don't usually see.
Right, because we can't really go into that because the main character is Ichigo. You know? Because Game of Thrones, there really is no main character. Everyone gets focused. You know, I would argue every house gets focused. In this, like, no, main character is Ichigo. So you kind of have to see things through his eyes in a way. Right? So you can't have, like, you can't just have an entire, which sucks because I'm sure they did this in filler and I didn't even fucking know about it. But you can't have an entire series, like, season without Ichigo. You have to have some kind of Ichigo somewhere involved. Yeah. But anyway, so jumping back into this OVA, so you mentioned to me that. Also you mentioned to me, and I'm not going to give away too much, I'm just going to say this. Ichigo's dad is special. That's all. Like, there's something about him that he's a bit different than the rest. Right?
And the fact that Renji, storms into Ichigo's house at gunpoint, mind you.
Which was beautiful. That was beautiful, actually. You see, that wasn't a plot error to me, because I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know, they had their own way of doing things in Soul Society. So to come to a foreign territory, right, he just emulates what he saw on TV. He has no idea how their concept of law and order works, because, to them, not that he thinks poorly of them, but to him, you know, we might seem a bit primitive.
Yeah, or just strange.
You know, primitive or strange or different. So it's just like, well, I'm gonna come in dressed up like I'm a yakuza, right?
Yeah,
like I'm part of the yakuza. At gunpoint with a shotgun. But yes, you mentioned that he busts in and then he doesn't sense anything different about his dad, is where you were going?
Yeah, like, I mean, okay, even not revealing plot or anything, or not knowing, you know, maybe not even knowing anything about his dad, that's fine, but just the fact that, you know, Renji is a Shinigami, he should have felt something, unless, you know, I forgot that he has, like, a special seal on him or something, which he probably does, but, you know, something to that effect to, like, hide his essence.
Actually, I'm kind of mad, because he probably has some kind of, like, fob watch, and I'm forgetting about it.
Because then, otherwise, Ichigo would probably, although his spiritual senses are shit, but still.
It's weird. Actually, he did have a seal on him, to be fair.
Right.
So that anything, whatever is special about him, can't be felt. And I remember that he did that because he didn't want people coming after him. But it is a little weird to be face-to-face. That's what I'll say. Like, it's a thing where, like, you know, you might not know that, because the Doctor also has something like a fob watch that, like, he allows him to seal his own self. But to be fair, like, if a Time Lord or some other creaturely being that can, like, feel other creaturely beings, right? Like, just sense them, was near him, I feel like it'd be like, there's still something off about you, though.
Yeah.
You know, especially because the seal, at least with the Doctor, the seal erases his memories. The seal does not erase Ichigo's dad's memories.
No.
So there's still, I don't know. It's hard to. I mean,
Yeah.
then again, the seal does work, though. To be fair, I believe there was a seal. So damn us, there's no plot error. But it is still.
Yeah.
But to be fair, but if there wasn't a seal, now I'm going to go. But if it didn't exist, no. I mean, it's the general idea that we brought it up earlier because of the fact that you and I were talking anyway. Because of the fact that you know, this was obviously before Ichigo's dad was revealed to be anything special. This was after Soul Society, though. So it was in that weird middle ground.
Yeah.
Of, like, being after Soul Society, but before Visored Head stuff, or Visored stuff, depending on your interpretation. So it's kind of like in the middle. So, yeah. So nothing happens with Ichigo's dad yet. So it's kind of like, you know, you just have to have Renji come in, blow his hair off.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, you know, so nobody sensed anything? Nope, because it wasn't part of the story yet. And yes, of course, Kubo had it outlined, right? Because of course Kubo has everything outlined. You know, it's a popular manga, so of course it's going to extend for like freaking 10 years.
Right.
But you still have the basic things outlined, you know?
Yeah.
Like basic as in, hey, this is where Ichigo's from. You know, this is what's happening here. This is what's happening here. Right? Especially with the way manga's done with 1 or 2 chapters a week, of course it's going to last 10 years, you know, versus, let's say, a, you know, like a series of, like, books or, like, American novels or something.
Novels,
where, you know, maybe this whole thing with Ichigo, minus a few arcs, right, could have gone on for only 3 books, and we would have known everything about him in 3 books, which, to be fair, would have probably been 6 years anyway.
Yeah.
But still, you know, it would have been like, books, quick, you know. A lot in the book, right? A lot of words in the book, a lot of pages, but quote-unquote quick compared to just the way it's like, oh, well, Kubo's just making this up. No. It's just, you know, at this time it wasn't revealed yet, and I'm sure the filler writers didn't know either, so I'm pretty sure they lucked out by the fact that I'm 95% sure there was a seal involved. Yeah. They just lucked out, right? They got lucky. A continuity error became okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I only say that because it would be weird if they consulted him about that and he says, yeah, no, that's fine because seal. And then like the Rukia thing goes past him.
Right.
So I assume they only got him on for character designs, which by the way, really cool.
Yeah.
Like the actual the clothes that they wore and everything.
Yeah.
You can really see that he has a sense of style.
Till, you know, Rukia dresses him up in what should be appropriate for the living world. Maybe.
Well, no, I mean generally just
30 years ago.
No, I mean
40 years ago.
No, I mean generally Kubo's sense of style when he drawing drawing like everything that everyone wore.
I think you had told me at one point, maybe it wasn't you, but somebody had told me at one point he wanted to be a fashion designer originally, didn't he? The author.
I may have said that on the show. I may have told you. I mean, I'm sure someone else told you as well. I may have said it to you on the show. If I didn't, I'm going to tell. Oh, actually, I think I just told you in passing because we were doing something. Maybe we were watching an old movie or we were seeing an old opening or ending from the show.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, you know that guy wanted to be a fashion designer? And you're like, that makes much sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, even a lot of the manga chapters where they have just, you know, the alternate covers for manga chapters, the main cast is usually dressed up in a hell of a lot of different outfits, and it's interesting. Like, I know Akira Toriyama also liked to kind of toy around with that with Dragon Ball, you know, Bulma with alternate, you know, costumes and stuff like that. It's
not
always,
that,
you know,
Goku too. Like Goku was
Goku
in a pilot. Goku was like a motorcycle. Like he had like I think the Hell's Angels thing going on.
Right.
Yeah, it was very interesting. You know?
It's kind of nice to see, you know, as just like concept art, you know.
Yeah, I think it's just that, you know, it shows that he still likes to have fun, right? Like there's still like ideas that come through, and it's kind of like, oh man, I got to draw this, and then it just gets the chance to be put in as a chapter, or you know, like you said, concept art and things like that. But yeah, so okay, so about this movie itself, or this OVA itself, do you think it was canon? Because it could have been canon, but something felt off to me when I was younger, and I noticed it again now. Did you notice anything that's felt non-canon to you, or?
It's like I don't know. Like I have a harder time like trying to place canon for Bleach, I guess, because it feels like anything could be. It's just like a story
That's true,
you didn't see, you know?
Right. Well, because it was weird to me that he knew every single captain minus Hitsugaya. Like, I know it doesn't make something not canon, because to be fair, it's like, well, he met them all in Soul Society. But I could swear he met Hitsugaya in Soul Society as well. So it's weird that he doesn't know his name, but he knows everybody else's name. That confused me a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I kind of played that off on Ichigo. Kind of, he doesn't finish the line, but he says to Rukia and Renji, like, you know, names are, and he trails off because they've already left. But like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, granted, like it's weird that he remembers everybody else's name and then not, Hitsugaya, but
and the fact
I
that
guess
he even
maybe
knows like Yoriichi, he knows that Yoriichi has a human form. So it's it's weird because it gives off the impression that it's after Soul Society. But if I'm correct, he does not use his Bankai?
What, Ichigo?
Yeah.
No, he does.
He does? My bad. Sorry.
Yeah.
Got so mixed up in the Baishin stuff at the end that I completely forgot that he uses Bankai. My bad.
Yeah.
But, okay. So, yeah. But no, I guess it was just weird to me that, it's clearly after Soul Society, and he knows certain people that he would know. And Soul Society's like, oh, yeah, you. But then Hitsugaya was like, huh. And I was like, wait, you've met him.
Yeah, I feel like he might have just misplaced, like, the one name. And I feel like they just wanted to throw in a little one joke, too,
Probably, yeah. Okay, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. They're little one jokes. So like I mentioned before, I really liked that this OVA reflected. Well, I mentioned it with the first OVA, but I'll mention it with this one too. I like how it perfectly reflects what's going on in the show at the time. Not necessarily with the villain, because that's just filler. But I don't know, maybe it's because of the fact that like it's just you have like that Renji Ichigo thing going on. You have all these cool OSTs from back in the day. You have the animation being what it used to be, and it's really funny because as I'm writing this, it's like, Matt, you know it was actually made back then, right? Like, it's not reflecting, it just is. Not just, like, oh, it's fine, I just love what it is. Yeah. But going back to the fashion thing that we were bringing up before, speaking of, like, well, how do you do the fashion? Well, not only Rukia going through that catalog, but the way Renji was dressed and the way, usually the way Ichigo's dressed, but even Rukia, like everyone, I mean, hell, even when you look at that short at the end, like during the, the credits, the after credits, well, the actual thing during the credits, every Shinigami is dressed in human clothes, but always something unique and different. As if Kubo sat back and thought, who would wear, like, is this something that, his guy would wear? Is this something that, like, this has to be something that, Renji would wear, or like this person would wear, Momo would wear. Everyone has to wear something unique to them. Yeah. And I think that's what was interesting in what he drew, or like in the designs that he chose. Yeah, that was always cool. Yeah. Also, so I mentioned before Renji looking like as if he was, Yakuza. It's funny to me, though, is I really feel like maybe Yakuza was the thing because, there are Yakuza movies and stuff like that in Japan. Right. But something about it just felt very Pulp Fiction-esque. Yeah. Right? Are you seeing Pulp Fiction?
I have heard about it. Like, I may have seen bits and pieces, but there's a lot of shit that I need to see.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's next time you come over, filming, but, Yeah,
something about it felt very, like, Western almost. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was just the shotgun for me. That doesn't seem like the go-to gun for a Yakuza member, Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's why, because I know, like, shotguns have been used a decent amount in Pulp Fiction. So to me, it's like the shotgun felt. I think the only thing that would have solidified it for me is if Renji started, like, doing the Bible quote, quote-unquote, not really the Bible quote, but I don't know if you know that from Pulp Fiction where Samuel L. Jackson You know,
right.
He has like a Bible verse, which is not really a Bible verse. It's actually from it's from a Japanese samurai movie.
Right.
No, I'm sorry, a Japanese, like it was a kung fu film, I believe. No, but it was an opening quote, and it was done in the way of as if it was a Bible verse.
Right.
And people thought it was for a while, so it's like, no, that's actually not.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I'm totally not looking that up right now. I'm not going to say that on the air. No, I'm not.
Although, what I really liked at the very beginning was just Ichigo waking up, and he's like, oh, every Sunday should be like this, just, laying out and relaxing.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, Rukia just looks up and goes, you're going to get fat doing that. And meanwhile, she's laying on the ground with Kon, reading fashion magazines, like eating a snack and shit. And he just, I miss that too, like the sass that they just had between each other. Like, you can tell they're friends because they just annoy each other, like, all the time. And he looks down and he's like, oh, what the hell are you doing? And then she immediately sits up. Like, I wasn't laying down. It's like, yes, you were!
I love that so much. That was nice, too. It was really cute. It was funny to kind of have that there and be like, but you. But, so speaking of the Bible verse, quote unquote, it was great. It's called, it says, Ezekiel 25:17, right? And it's funny because, it obviously is not, the actual quote is, and I will execute great vengeance upon them with furious rebukes, and they shall know that I am the Lord when I shall lay my vengeance upon them. Right?
Shit.
However, the full thing that he said, do you read the Bible, Brett? Because, someone was, trying to, screw with him. Do you read or he was trying to screw with him. Do you read the Bible, Brett? Well, this is passages I've got memorized. Sort of fits this occasion. Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who, in the name of charity and goodwill, shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who would attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee. And then shoots the guy. If Renji had said that in any shape or form, I would have been this is Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. This is Pulp Fiction.
I mean, that would have been probably hysterical, just seeing him actually go through that whole monologue. I could see Ichigo coming down and what the hell movie were you watching?
That would be great. What are you doing?
It's I don't think I've even seen, I don't even know if that movie aired in this country.
It probably does.
Oh, yeah,
obviously. I'm not on TV, but on standard television. But yeah, it totally does. But, what is it? Dear God. But, so, okay, talking about the villain, because we haven't really talked about him a lot on the show. We talked about him before the show, but not really on the show. I like that the villain sucks the energy from Ichigo, because I feel like we haven't had a lot of that in Bleach. And if you're going to tell me, but here, in canon Bleach, I don't think we've had a lot of energy sucking. I mean, I can only recall a few enemies that actually use that kind of ability, and it was always stealing reishi, pure reishi, if it was released, an energy attack, not literally grabbing onto you and say, "I'm gonna suck your soul out." Yes, exactly. Yes, I get you. Yes, the idea that it's hey, the beam is being thrown at me, I'm using it against you, versus I'm taking it straight from the tap. Yeah. Yes, which I like that, because we really haven't seen a lot of that in Bleach, so I want to give them, we've seen it in other places. To be fair, the scene itself reminded me of Dragon Ball Z with West City and the androids. Right. So yes, we've seen it elsewhere. But I still have to commend them for doing it in Bleach, something that, because the reason why, if you've, heard us do our Bleach movie podcast, where I'll say, oh man, the same concept of just, a band of goons that are with the main villain, that are always around. The reason why I say, that's, becomes cliche to me is because really the show's doing it multiple times, right?
Right.
If it's the show's first time doing something, yes, I understand someone going, man, that's cliche. But it's just like, hey, you know what? It's different for the environment I'm currently in. When I watch a show, usually I try to get into, like, an environment, get into that mindset of, hey, this is what I'm watching, so I am comparing it only to this. But if there are others in the universe, like in the show. So in other words, I'm not going to sit here and go, I can't judge Dragon Ball Z's movie based on the other movies. Yes, I can. It's harder for me to say Dragon Ball Z versus Bleach, right? Because of the differences between both. I feel like in some ways it just comes down to personal preference, which, I mean, hey, we're talking about our opinions here in general, right? But it still really comes down to more personal preference than really going, well, this was executed this way or this was executed this way. It's like usually it's just like, hey, preference, right?
Yeah.
So, or at what point in your life you're at, right? Because if you're at a point where you're like, I hate everything, this is all terrible, Bleach may be great for you. Like, I don't think Dragon Ball Z with its upbeat goodness, you're going to be like, screw this. Why is everyone smiling? I'm mad. That's just my personal take on it, because I've been in situations where, like, I've been upset and I've been like, I can't. Like, sometimes watching good things makes you happy, right? And you're like, happy. But at other times, it's annoying.
Right, yeah. Why do you get to be happy?
Basically, stupid anime character. But yeah, so
I'm going to make everyone feel exactly the way I feel. Spread hell throughout the living world. Oh, God.
Yeah, right. It's like, well, I think you're quoting Hellverse, Tristan. But yeah, so
no.
I feel like
why would I do that?
Like it's best to compare them. I mean, certain plot things, you can totally say that happens in every movie, right? And I'm upset at it. I understand that. But the idea of, hey, look, it's something that sucks up, people's energy. That's so original. Well, in Bleach it is, actually.
Right. I mean, I always felt like they tried to at least give the villains, like, even like filler villains, like, slightly unique powers, or at least, unique in that, OVA or movie or episode. Like, I feel like they tried to at least distinguish them enough where, maybe you wouldn't know them by name, but maybe you'd be like, oh, yeah, that's the guy with this power, and that's the guy with this power,
Yes. I get that completely.
With this guy, I think we even mentioned before the show, like, he's maybe even a foreshadowing of a later filler arc that came in the Bleach anime. Because his whole problem, I guess you could say, is that he was a Shinigami at one point, but he was able to actually fuse with his Zanpakuto. And, I guess for whatever reason that drove him mad, or he couldn't control it, and I guess it consumed him,
Mhm. Yeah, so and later on in the show for filler, and this isn't spoiler because filler, and we're not even going to go into depth with the filler because, to be fair, I've forgotten about it a lot. Like, it's just, how did everything get solved? It did. It got solved because we had to get back to plot.
Right.
And thank goodness no one's Zanpakuto was actually evil, so the filler plot made complete sense. But anyway, like I was saying, though, so, what was it? What? Did Matt just spoil something? I don't know if he did. Who's Zanpakuto? Keep on reading Bleach, everybody. But anyway, so, you think of the filler arc, and yes, the filler arc was the idea that people's Zanpakuto came to life and manifested outside. So they weren't animals, they were people. Right, they looked
outside
humanoid.
of the swords. Right.
Yeah, outside the sword, they looked humanoid. Yes, that is what happened in the filler arc. So so when it comes to this movie, I would argue it's a little bit of a foreshadow. Nothing crazy because of course it is somewhat different, right? It's like,
or even the idea. The idea, like, this is kind of in reverse. The user and the blade actually fused, and then Ichigo defeats him by killing him, basically, and sets him free. So the man dies, but the sword is left behind, but I would assume the spirit has left the sword as well. But
yes. Well, I bring up the idea that, yes, you could say it's the exact reverse because it's, them fusing instead of torn apart. But I mean the idea of a Zanpakuto being manifested as a humanoid being.
Right, yeah.
It's a simpler concept.
I mean, the captains even said the idea that he was stealing the energy from Ichigo was to try and separate himself from his sword. So in a sense, it would be like foreshadowing. If he had succeeded, it would be like what you saw in the filler series in the anime, where you would have the spirit of the Zanpakuto taking on a humanoid form and its user in their normal body.
Yeah, had it left to go on, that probably could have happened. So as we move on, so apparently, they left Kon for a second. They left Kon. For 5 minutes, he's fine. But I sat there and I was like, wow, so is this the end of the special? It says there's 15 minutes left. What's going on?
Right.
But then they move on quickly, because it was just standard one-off joke. They move on quickly. And, I do, by the way, while he was fused, so there is a backstory that you're supposed to feel, you're supposed to empathize with, which I'm totally cool with, by the way. I like that he was just a quote-unquote evil guy that I could get behind, right? No Soul Society meddling, and hey, I love Soul Society meddling. It's just, that's how I think, right? So that's how I think a villain should be if there's no Soul Society meddling. You know what I mean? Where, there's no, oh, was he really a good guy? Not looking like that. Right? No, he's pretty evil. There's no, crazy twists in terms of, oh, no, is he really good? No, just straight up, I am evil. Right. I am going to hurt you.
It's almost like what I said about, Hellverse, but you find this better in the sense that he's got, there is no real twist, I guess you could say. He's just straight up.
Yes.
He's
so
the bad
guy. In a weird way, we agree. Right, at least, and in that sense, because in Hellverse we disagreed only because, I mentioned I didn't like that twist. So in a way we do agree on the idea of, hey, isn't it cool to have a straight-up bad guy? Because, you know what? Yeah, I'll give it to you. It is. I just like it when he's straight up and bad. Not just I'm it's like, you are a good guy. You're whistling. Of course you're a good guy. Actually, I was evil the whole time.
Yeah. I mean... I wonder if that's just coming from a sense of we, grew up with Dragon Ball to begin with, really?
Oh, I was going to say, I was wondering if you'd be it's because we grew up with M. Night Shyamalan, so... So we don't like twists?
Yeah, I guess.
Right? Yeah. And it sucks, because to be fair, it's now it's but Matt, a twist happened, and it doesn't always happen in Bleach, so, you should appreciate it. It's as a concept, I appreciate it. I just don't like it because it felt like one of those twists where it wasn't hidden that well, but where it was hidden well enough. So it was hidden well enough so that the characters don't know. But to us, it's oh, yeah, he's good. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
See that little camera angle we gave him? Is that a smirk I see? Hey, look, he's actually, as Ichigo's walking towards, the bad guys, he's kind of staying behind for a couple seconds. Is that a little evil that I sense?
Oh, God, his sword is in his chest. Oh.
Yeah, well, it's pretty evil.
Well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, I'll appreciate that. I'll say that much. I appreciate them doing something a bit different because we don't usually see those twists, unless, of course, your name's fucking Aizen, but whatever.
Yeah.
And in which case, what?
No, I was just gonna. To be fair, when the whole Aizen twist first started out, I did enjoy it. I don't want to make it seem like I don't enjoy a good twist in the series. I really do. But it felt like for Bleach and Aizen's whole thing, it just felt like he went, I don't know, he got away with it too much, he was able to get away.
Okay. I got to be honest. I love the twist, and I even love how far he went. It's completely nonsensical, but I thrive on it, and I find it to be a food source. I find it to be a source of energy to consume to go on with my day. It's brilliant. Like Ichigo just sneezes, and Aizen's like, all according to plan, Ichigo. You remember a few days ago when you said, man, I hope I don't get a cold. Well,
yeah, I think it was at that point.
Yes, I actually went to the human world.
For
your
me,
little
that's
Karakura town.
At that point, I was just like, okay, yeah. Whatever you say, bro, I'm gonna kill you now.
Ichigo coughs. Do you remember 2 days ago when you said, man,
God damn it,
I need a glass of water?
Oh.
And you found a lake, and then a hollow attacked you? How did a hollow get into Soul Society, you asked, as you couldn't drink your water? And now, you're coughing to your doom. Like
all because you couldn't have that glass of water. God.
That's basically how it is, though.
Yeah.
That's basically how it is, though. You know? So I guess I love it, but of course I have to admit it's completely nonsensical.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at least this was a bit less nonsensical in the fourth one.
Right.
But still, a twist nonetheless, and it's like, yeah. So anyway, getting back to the podcast, getting back to the actual OVA 2, as I mentioned in OVA 1, no, I mentioned this in movie 4. Yeah. The idea of Ichigo and Renji going at it. Movie 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't take that out of context.
Damn it, no. I didn't mean that. I don't mean that.
I didn't mean
that's
like
nice, too. That's nice, too. But no, I mean the idea of the two of them, actually, arguing and bickering.
Yeah, but I love that.
Yeah, I love that interesting friendship that they have, because I like that it's not a straight-up rivalry to get stronger.
Yeah,
that they usually do in anime. Like, yes, Ichigo has that with, Kenpachi. And hey, that's totally a staple of, fighting anime. There's always one person where it's kind of just like, you're my rival, and we're going to fight to get stronger. Yeah, it's always a thing, and I love it. Usually it's a thing, and I'm cool with that. But I like that in this case, they were like, hey, let's not make that for Ichigo and Renji. Now, yes, I'm sure they both want to be stronger than the other. They've trained together before. They've sparred. They've not just fought as in, hey, I'm invading your Soul Society. They've sparred before, right? So I get it. But it's not a straight-up I need to be stronger than him, as if they're both, the main characters in terms of rivalry. Hell, I love that Ichigo doesn't even have that with many of the people in the main cast. You don't see that from Chad. You kind of see it from Uryu.
Yeah.
But even then, it's kind of a thing where it's more of his pride that his method works.
Right.
Rather than, I need to be stronger than Ichigo Kurosaki.
Right.
It's kind of funny. Matt, he said before, I need to be stronger than Ichigo Kurosaki. Filler. That was arc. Filler. All that training was filler. I mean, training did happen off screen. But when he said stuff, it was filler.
Yeah.
So, I like that they don't have the standard, I need to be stronger than him no matter what. Because that's kind of like the, Kuwabara stuff they kind of have in the Yu Yu Hakusho. And more so when everyone thinks of that, they always think of Vegeta, where Vegeta's just I'll kill everything in the universe to become more powerful.
All I could think about when you said, Kenpachi's kind of like that, all I could imagine was Ichigo, getting, almost getting a death blow from someone, and Kenpachi just comes over and stabs the guy, and he's like, no, I'm the only one that can kill you.
Basically, yeah. Steps on the wound. I'm really mad you got stabbed.
Yeah.
Bleeding out here.
It's I can't believe you got stabbed by this guy. He's completely weak. He steps on the open chest wound. Oh, God! Yeah, it hurts, doesn't it?
But speaking of Kenpachi...
Now get up and fight me!
Speaking of Kenpachi...
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
I love everything about... I think the first time, when I was younger, I was sad that we didn't actually get to see him fight. But as a story, as a plot device, it was extremely smart to not let him near the fight because it would end immediately.
Exactly, yeah.
So one, don't let him near the fight because there were hollows in this movie, which by the way, I'll mention in a bit. Hollows were good to have, but the hollows aren't captains can easily sneeze, and hollows are just evaporated. So Yeah, so
it's funny. That almost made me sad in a sense. Like, oh yeah, they're not really a threat or anything like that. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I mean, that kind of makes sense. I mean, they do have to keep everything in check, so it would be, ideal for them to be more powerful than them, and be easily able to, dispatch them.
Yes, no, we'll bring that up a bit later. Not too much later because, Kenpachi thing isn't long. The first one anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved having Kenpachi here because, first off, it just makes sense. I know he even has, like, a problem with, directions and generally getting to places. He has that kind of issue with Soul Society as well. But now he's in a completely foreign land.
Yeah.
So it's even worse. If you have problems with directions in your own home turf,
right,
it's going to really suck when you go to a completely different city.
Well, because eventually in Soul Society he would kind of like turn around and be like, all right, Yatru, stop screwing with me. I know he's not here. Like, but in the living world, he's like, I'm completely blind. You're my eyes. I just love the fact he was running.
That was your first. That was your first problem. Yeah.
And all the people that he ran past, it's like, whenever you feel a huge gust of wind, imagine if it was Kenpachi running past you.
What I love so much is just the idea that, like, Kenpachi can fight in the dark. Right? Kenpachi can be completely blind of all senses, and he can kill you. But heaven forbid he doesn't know where he's going.
Yeah.
That's just perfect. As a character, I love that so much. Just, he's in his element when fighting. Directions, no idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, so talking about, and also, by the way, speaking of, as we always gush about the OST, we always gush, oh, man, the soundtrack's great, yada, yada, yada. Man, I love, the old tracks that they used in this special a lot.
Yeah.
Another thing, too, that I really, really, really enjoyed is the specific track they used for Kenpachi when he came up. Like, the second we saw Kenpachi, and it was very upbeat, and it was fun, and it was cute. I like it because I remember that one. Can't recall the name, but I remember that one, and I remember them barely ever using it.
Yeah.
Because you have to use that at specific points. Like, it's so specific that you can't just bust that out during a major fight.
Yeah.
You can't even bust that out when everything's like, when there's tension. You just can't do anything with it unless the moment really calls for it. And I'm so happy they had a moment that, made everyone sit there and go, this is the track we used.
Right.
And it's that one for Kenpachi and Yachi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I rarely ever remembered, it being used. I remember when I heard it, I was like, when I was a lot younger, back in high school, I was like, wait, what? How are you being used? When? I love
this
you.
This isn't right.
Yeah. But anyway, so you mentioned hollow fighting, which in a weird way sounds like some kind of like underground MMA. Welcome to hollow fight.
Yeah, it was just the fact that it was like, ooh, hollows again, because that's, it's supposed to be a thing. But,
of course.
The captains are all so powerful that, normal hollows just being attracted to the guy's presence is just kind of like, oh, well, we need to make sure the people are okay, so let's, just dispatch them really quickly. And it made me sad in a sense like, oh, yeah, the hollows really aren't any threat whatsoever anymore. Unless it's a huge, mass or it's a frickin', Menos or something. But at the same time, that makes a lot of sense because, it's the Soul Society's job to keep it in check and to make sure that, the world of the living isn't disturbed by them. So, and yes, granted, captains usually aren't the ones being dispatched to deal with hollows because that's overkill.
Yeah.
But, it makes sense that they would be able to,
Yeah. When it comes to actual, like, plot stuff, like, like the idea that it's like we can't, you talk about it as in like, oh, and in canon, right? You're not talking about it as canon more so as, writing like plot devices and things like that.
Right.
Everyone, of course, gets so powerful that the hollows are meaningless, and because of that, it's nice to see them again, but then, of course, you realize that's right. They're so quick to be dispatched. It's good to have an army because we don't really get that a lot in Bleach, I think, or in other, even in like DBZ, we don't really get like an quote army of people. The most that we've really gotten are like, Cybermen and Cell Juniors. Right? We don't really get armies of people usually. And to be fair, it's like, well, Matt, that's 2 times in Dragon Ball Z. It's like, yes, but nothing for Frieza other than people. That's what I mean. This is between people and, mindless kind of like beings that can be killed. And it's like, yeah, we took one down, right? So there were people. And then even in Boo, it was kind of just Boo. There were people, but it wasn't like, oh, mindless army of drones. We get that in Yu Yu Hakusho a lot, actually. Mindless army of drones, which is nice, I think. But we don't really get that in Bleach so much, or really in DBZ to be like a lot, to be fair. So I enjoy the concept of like bringing in these guys as mindless drones because it's like, hey, he was alone, right? Baishin was alone. I know there was technically 2 because they were fused, but still, technically was alone. So it was nice to have them appear. But then you slowly realize that, with the way power levels work and everything, the idea is you had to, and you see that you had to have Kubo. Kubo had to keep on introducing newer types of hollows so that it wouldn't feel repetitive.
Right.
But then even then, he would introduce a new type of hollow to make everyone go, and that's now the strongest kind of hollow. But then every humanoid thing around him, be it, people from Hucamundo or from wherever else, right, would then fight each other. And then from that, you are now stronger than the strongest hollow.
Right.
And I feel like he kind of abandoned the concept of making stronger hollows a while ago.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because he realized it's a lot easier to just focus on stronger humanoid, like I use the word people, but it's like, not everyone is like, like human. But still, like, working on people rather than working on these goons, because even if it's like, we're going to summon these hollows, it's not really, like, what's it going to do? Unless, like, we find even another level, which can totally happen, by the way, with so many different freaking dimensions. But, as of right now, it's like, this. I think the second or third wave of hollows that he introduced, I believe it was only second, but even still, second or third wave of hollows he introduced, now to where Ichigo is in the current status of, like, what he can do now, he can probably just easily dispatch of them with, like, the hilt of his sword.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I won't focus on them. So I get what you're saying, but I mean, that's just how it crumbles. That's how it goes. I mean, the idea that, like, Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Goku will laugh if a million Cybermen were like, we're going to take you down. Goku would laugh.
Yeah.
So Junior's different story.
Probably
I know it sounds
still laugh.
crazy. He'd laugh, but I think he'd get his ass kicked. And it's like, Matt, really? Yes, because they were linear, like, let's say they were all Super Saiyan 1 versions of Cell.
Right.
So even Super Saiyan 3 Goku, if there were a million of them.
Yeah.
Because Cybermen, they can't fly. They can only jump, right? So Goku just flies in the air, just starts shooting energy beams. I mean, this is like, that's easy. So Junior might get hurt.
Well, they're not mindless completely either, like Cybermen. Well, Cybermen had a little bit of fighting and, like, they had a little bit of mind to them, but, like, not as much as, like, say, the Cell Juniors did.
But even then, like 50 of them can jump on Goku and explode. And Goku would be like, man, my clothes are ruined.
Yeah. Now I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Good thing I know a good dentist.
He might go down a level.
Yeah.
But anyway, jumping back into the film, so, we're actually at the point, we're past the point where, the hollows come in. It's like, hey, hollow fighting, which is such a great thing. I really do enjoy, the idea of bringing back these hollows, because you had to show off some of the captains fighting, which, hell, I think this was a great way to showcase, I hate to say this was a better movie for, in the sense that we got a lot of the cast. I know.
Right.
We got a lot of the cast. So if this is our last Bleach podcast forever, which isn't the case, because Bleach will come back, but this is our last Bleach podcast for a while, I'd be happy to end it on this.
Right.
Because of all the cast that we had come together and everything. I would end it. I'd be happy to end it on this. Hell, speaking of the cast, some people that we usually don't see, even not only in movies, just in general, we don't really think about. Cone had to decide, get eaten by a hollow or run to some kids.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nice to see them coming out, too.
Interesting thing, by the way, I want to mention this to you. That's not filler. The idea of the kids being a team, that's actually not filler at all.
Right.
Because they had manga shorts.
Yeah, it was a special, they were shorts, yeah.
Shorts as in, I think they were only quick illustrations.
Right. But still, yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember his name, but, Don Kanonji.
Yes.
Right, with Don Kanonji, it was, I believe it was Inta from,
Ginta,
or something like that.
Yeah, Ginta, Karin,
Ginta, Karin, and
Ururu?
sister. Yes, thank you, Ururu.
Yeah.
And they all formed, they were, and then they had Cone as their mascot.
And Cone, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it happened in the show as well, and it was really funny because I think a lot of people thought, man, a filler episode already? And it was like, no, that's actually canon. I was really excited to see it when I was younger because I had the Bleach manga as well. So all of a sudden it's like, we're doing an episode of this. And I'm like, wait, what, really? They're getting adapted? Yeah. This is so cool.
Right.
Right? So that was cool to me. Now, what was complete filler was later on when I won't name the members of the team because I don't want to get too into later plots. But the idea is they made a filler couple episode arc where a bunch of people from Karakura Town banded together to basically form a Power Rangers / Super Sentai team.
Right.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
I was totally cool with that. I loved it, personally. As a fan of Power Rangers and Super Sentai, I loved it. Right.
As soon as I saw it, I immediately thought Matt must be, loving this right now.
I did. I really did. Hell, the fact that Ichigo ended up dressing up like, oh, come on. I know you. Come on. Am I going to really have to look it up? I guess I'm going to have to look it up. You know what I'm talking about, though, when Ichigo was dressed up. Well, I mean, technically it was Cone in Ichigo's body, right?
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
but
he was one of, he dressed up kind of like one of the Kamen Riders, didn't he?
No.
Or was it a different...
I can understand why you think that. But he actually was, Gotcha Man? No. Damn it. Come on. I'll get it in a second. Don't worry.
Okay.
Looking up Chojin Sentai, Jetman. Come on, Jetman. What were you based on? Come on, Jetman. Do it. Come on, tell me. Where are you, Jetman? We're doing this live on the radio, everyone. Hello. How's it going? How's your day? Doing okay? Good. Good.
You can't do this to me. I'm live on internet radio.
How's it going? How's everything going? Good? Good. Damn it, I was right. Gotcha Man. Crap.
Okay.
Whoops. Yeah, Gotcha Man, which became something completely different in America.
Yeah.
I think you know about it. I think you know about Gotcha Man, right?
It does sound familiar. I'm pretty sure I've heard you talk about it before, yes.
Good. Oh, it became Battle of the Planets, Guardians of Space, etc., etc., etc.
Right.
That's back in the day when anime was edited up and just dubbed completely differently.
Yeah.
Back when Miyazaki movies were just given different names.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, but yeah. So, how did you feel about the last fight with Bashin and Baishin and Ichigo? Because I really liked it a lot.
Yeah. I thought it was funny because there's a scene where Baishin actually shoots out, a wave of swords, and Ichigo has already gone Bankai, and I swear, maybe I'm wrong, but I could pretty much say with 95% certain that they took that straight from the anime where he fought Byakuya, and he, when he shot Zenbon Sakura at him, and he, deflected away all the petals. I swear the same animation was taken from that episode and put into here when he deflected all the swords away. And granted, I like that animation piece. It's nice. It's cool. But I just found it funny that, it looked exactly the same.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, as we know, a lot of different companies try and, save on budget and things like that. I mean,
right.
Hell, whenever you're watching an anime, I'm not even saying this to you, I'm saying this to, like, everyone listening, all three of you. Whenever you're watching an anime, unless you're watching, like, a really well-funded, like, movie.
Oh, yeah.
I would argue.
They will recycle animation. Yeah.
Not even recycle animation. Like we've mentioned, I remember we mentioned in Lord Slug how they recycled the animation. Dragon Ball Z Lord Slug was before. They recycled the animation of characters that were running in the background to the point where it was the same bear 3 times. Yeah. Not even talking about that, right? Just talking about the idea that if you look in the background of characters, you'll see, like, eyes that are not where they should be. People, like, eyes will be, like, like they'll be cross-eyed, or an eye will be, like, on a different part of their body, or their faces will just not be animated correctly whatsoever.
Right.
And, like, because it's, like, it's basically the idea of, like, oh, we're not focusing on them. So it's as if you had a camera, right, on the main character or the 2 main characters. So it's like, oh, the focus isn't on them. Like a normal, like a camera in a live-action movie or a live-action series. But the problem is that you can still pause and see behind them. And no matter how far away it is, you'll still see faces that don't have any art on them. Like, it'll be like a blank face. Or it'll just be like, like 2 dots and like one little like line, which is a mouse. Things like that'll happen a lot with, plenty of different anime. Even some that you're like, man, I love this anime. And you totally can. Right? Just hell. Usually we don't even talk about the animation stuff. We really, unlike, other than like maybe the styles are reminiscent of something we like. But usually we're just like, hey, plot. Right? So totally cool if you love something just for the plot. But you'll definitely find that in many anime they'll either reuse or they'll skimp out on some of the stuff that it's just like, hey, that's only happening for a couple seconds. Why are we going to, spend this much time on this or this or this?
Yeah. I mean, even in manga series, I mean, I know it was always a running joke with my friends with Yu Yu Hakusho and lack of background.
Yes, and you love Yu Yu Hakusho, as do I.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But, lack of background, ahoy.
Right. So it's not even, like, just an anime, too,
Right, some manga can have it as well. I mean, hell, manga, it's so hard. I mean, before we get on a manga rant, manga is so hard to do on a weekly basis. I mean, everyone has to have, like, editors or something because you can't draw that many pages
all by yourself.
Some of the backgrounds that some of the shows do as a one-man or one-woman or just one-person operation.
Right, yeah.
Can't happen.
Exactly.
Can't happen. That's why you have these editors, you have these different people, you have, like, whenever you're like, man, how does Toriyama do this in a week? He doesn't.
Yeah, right, yeah.
He has people with him, helping him. So it's not, now granted, it's not as if Toriyama's lazy.
Oh, yeah. It's just, it's impossible for one person to do it all alone. And, like, that's, like, a lot of the reason why, like, we point stuff like this out, like, we point out errors and we joke about it, but it's not out of, like, disgust, like, oh, this isn't perfect. It's like, no, it's out of we enjoy the series and we found something funny, and, it's understandable that little stuff like this, like, gets through the process and you see it, because, in the very end, it's all made by people, too, so everybody makes mistakes, and it's something funny, that we can enjoy,
Also, I mean, hell, if you think, it's hard to do manga in a week, or, with, like, 2 different people or 3 different people on it, imagine animating an entire thing every week. Talk to animators. It's not easy.
Right.
And the fact that it gets done, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard people animate 5-minute shorts in a set, in like a 1-man, 2-man, just 2-person operation kind of deal, and that took 6 months.
Yeah.
Like 5 minutes for and 5 minutes in about like 6 months, or even longer.
Yeah.
That and the money too involved. I mean, let's not even get into all that right now because again, we should just be talking about the show itself, but like or the OVA itself. But it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I noticed that was interesting also about this character, Baishin, the ability, like he has the ability to absorb energy or spiritual pressure, right? What's interesting to me is that the pressure did not return to Ichigo at all. As in, yes, it's good that Ichigo has a lot of untapped potential at this point, so technically, even though Aishin absorbed some of it, he still has so much in reserve.
Right.
But still, it's the idea that it interests me that, the pressure, like it's not like he recuperates it. Like, it doesn't, like, come back to him at all.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, no, once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, really? Yeah, once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, that was actually kind of concerning for a second. Like, when... It was funny, when Ichigo was getting drained, like you had said, I had, like, flashbacks to, like, the Android Saga and Dragon Ball, and I was like, wait, but their energy worked different. How?
Yeah.
Like, I was just surprised at the fact that he could do it at all. It's like, you can steal his spiritual pressure. That's a new one.
Yeah, I thought it drained his general power, but it's like, no, it drained his spirit power, and it can do that because, in a way, it's like he adapted sword, because he's, half sword, half human, right? He adapted those powers from him, in a way. So, just like his Hanto uses spiritual pressure and things like that. So it was very interesting as a concept, and I'm happy that they were able to do it. Because, again, it was like, instead of it being like Android stuff, where it's like, oh, no, we absorb your energy, but if you take a nice little sensu bean, you're good. So it's like, Ichigo's had some rest. And it's like, no, that power is still gone from him. It's not coming back. Like, he was able to relax and kind of, like, gain some composure. But to be fair, he's even weaker than before. So if he didn't have that untapped potential, like if that was his peak, let's say he was Krillin, right? The fight would have it's technically already over because your energy was absorbed.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Because, with the androids in Dragon Ball Z, it's like, yes, they absorb you and get more powerful. But if you have a sensu bean or something, you take some time and the energy comes back to you, you can still be on level playing field if the android was that much weaker than you. You just know, don't let its hands absorb you.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's just, oh no, it's absorbed you. You're done. Like, if you were weaker than him before, you're not good now.
You're screwed now. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that. I think it brings that sense of danger that we need from movies and shows like this where we know that the main character is going to win because it's filler.
Right, yeah.
We do need that sense of danger, like a little bit of it. Even for Renji. I mean, the second he gets hit with all those swords, and he's just stabbed by about a good 5 or 6 swords, and then all of a sudden he just looks at Rukia and basically says, only a flesh wound.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact, he goes, why is everybody acting so rash? You're all just jumping into the fight willy-nilly. I just imagine Rukia to look up like, just fall down. Just fall down now. Just stop talking.
You deserve all those swords. You deserve that.
You deserved it.
But, and then, of course, Baishin gets a new form, which I think is nice. Because, it's kind of like, hey, it's the last 5 minutes. But, hey, give him a new form. He's going to die. You never see him again.
Yeah, I really did like his design. Like, even before he transformed, just, the swords. Like, it all looked like almost like a traditional samurai armor almost. I thought it was really cool.
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed it. And, sadly, right, so he dies, as we mentioned before. It's nice to have a character that's evil, but we can empathize with. Because, to be fair, that's what I really enjoy about these newer wave of, villains, where, love DBZ to death, but we can't empathize with Space Hitler. Like, we can't look at Frieza and be like, but he's part of the 1%, so he never got to experience how other races are cool. No. There's no way you could empathize or sympathize, unless not our races, with the guy, with the being that went around and was just like, y'all are stupid little monkey. I'm going to destroy your entire race. Basically, like you said, genocide everywhere. You can't. So, and look,
can't empathize with that. Nope.
Yeah, it's good to have that clear,
Yeah.
Though I will admit, it is interesting how, and I don't want to go into this now, how like every villain from DBZ, at least the big ones, usually had some sort of, they didn't have knowledge of other things, as in Cell. You might be like, oh, well, he had all the knowledge in the world because he had had stuff implanted in him, but he was still only a few days old.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could argue too that he was programmed for nothing but destruction. I mean,
exactly.
if he were giving the programming and not created by a mentally insane guy who wanted to destroy a little boy, he might have, like even Bulma says, Dr. Gero could have created, amazing things and actually helped people, but he was evil, so he's an asshole.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, another thing too, like not Dr. Gero, not Babidi, like they're evil assholes. I mean, the idea of like even Majin Buu, technically at heart, even at the Kid Buu side, that's pure destruction. He's still a kid.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe that's why Goku really honestly made that wish to bring him back as a good person.
Yeah. Because he knew there was something good in there. Because to be fair, even at its prime, he was ready to fight and destroy because, he doesn't know any better. That's the thing. Even as Majin Buu, he didn't know any better. He was being kind of pushed in that direction. But anyway, still though, even with that distinction there, I feel like the general consensus was they're evil. They need to be, you need to fight them. They need to be destroyed somehow, one way or another. That was the general consensus, I feel. Where with this, it's there, but I like that they really do try and focus on the fact, like I said, this new wave, because I noticed it with Bleach. I noticed it with Naruto, right? I didn't notice
I'd
it with
say even One Piece, too.
Even One Piece. I don't know too much about One Piece, sadly, but from what I've read, I mean, in the beginning it felt like everyone was kind of
it's a little
evil,
more cut and dry, but later on,
but yes, as it goes on, people get a bit more depth, and again, I like that. I like that kind of that new wave. I don't say new because it's these things have been around for 10+ years now.
Yeah.
So it's not new anymore. Matt, you've been out of the game for a while.
Yeah. It's okay. I have to.
But yeah, I know. It's okay. But still, I enjoy this kind of shift. And I enjoy that it has shifted, because I do like the general, this is evil, this is evil, evil, evil. But again, I do enjoy the shift with, no, they're still evil. But here's why you feel bad for them. And hey, they may even turn good, depending on how big the character is. Depending on how, close the character is for the main character. But it's filler characters, well, we're going to kill him, but you're going to sympathize, you empathize with him just a little bit.
I mean, I found it funny, I kind of did feel bad for Baishin because he didn't seem like you didn't see what he was like before, but I feel like he was part of the Soul Society. He was a Shinigami. I assume he was probably a decent person. And the fact that he was training to become stronger, but something went horribly wrong. So it's almost like when the sword falls into the ground, Ichigo kind of has a face of relief, and it's almost like, I don't think he's here anymore. I think he's gone. But it's kind of like the job of the, Shinigami is to make sure that spirits pass on. And I mean, he was trapped. He was sealed away and trapped together with his sword, going insane for God knows how long. I guess it was kind of, just kind of nice for him to say, his spirit can rest now. He's not. I feel like he would have been worried about harming other people. Granted, he never showed that, but I don't think he meant to go on, these huge, crazy tangents and rants, and attack everything.
No, I really, before we wrap everything up, because we've actually been doing this for an hour and 20, woohoo! Before we wrap everything up, no, I really thought it was going to be only an hour podcast because it's 30 minutes, but it's hey, we had things to talk about. Before we wrap everything up, I just want to say I agree completely. I feel like, and as we always mention, there's sometimes these villains are a bit of an extension of Ichigo.
Right.
And I feel because Ichigo, at this point, he's constantly training. I mean, when is he not, right? There's always a training montage. But he's constantly training to get better and everything, and he's doing that in Soul Society, and everything ends, and it's just here's a guy who tries to train. And I'm not saying that, nothing the moral is, kids, stop trying. But the idea is that, it's hey, it went horribly wrong. And like you said, he had to put the soul to rest, which is something huge, not only with Shinigami, but with Ichigo as well.
Yeah.
Because he's huge into putting souls to rest. We've seen that a lot. We see that in the first ever, chapter / episode. We see that in movie 4 as a reference to it, you know. And it's just what he likes to do. He wants to put these, these people to rest so they aren't wandering the earth and sad. So it's interesting, right, that it would kind of reflect that in this OVA as well.
Right. I love the fact, it kind of seemed like the rest of the captains were like, okay, we're done, let's go.
Yeah, right, because they're used to this shit.
Yeah.
Like, same shit, different day.
Right.
But, and sadly, we never got to see Kenpachi fight.
Nope.
He's chasing after a bullet train.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
That's what's evil, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
Kenpachi, that's not, all right. Yeah, and it's funny because in this case you could argue that Yachiru's messing with him, but it's the human world. She might not even know.
True. I think she just liked it.
That's what I'm saying.
Ooh, that's shiny. That's cool. I want to follow it.
Yeah, that I'll give you. But she didn't. But it could have been evil. She doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's shiny and cool. It's shiny and cool. If it turned out to be evil, plus 2 points for Yachiru.
Yeah.
Right? That's her internal monologue. But yeah, so that was really funny to me. And then, of course, we go into the credits, and I loved them so much. Like, I thought it was perfect. Because, look, I love, it's really nice to hear different pieces of Japanese music, Japanese pop songs or anything from the different movies. I mean, hell, I've gotten into bands, and groups because of these movies and because of other animated, Japanese animated movies that have these, openings and endings and things like that. I really think it's cool. Right, it is. Right. But I think it was really, really smart to just be like, hey, so we have the track, right? It's just an OVA, so we have a limited budget on it. Let's just use our own track, and we'll make a fun little credit short because since it's at a festival, this was, at Jump Festa, so it was at a festival, it kind of got people more invested rather than just black screen, credits rolling up and down,
Yeah.
It really got people invested, where even with the first movie, a movie that I love, right, Memories of Nobody, it was just kind of just there, and then the credits were rolling, and then, of course, you had the after credits scene, as always. But it was still, it was just there, the credits were rolling. That was just it.
Yeah.
Right, that's what happened. So, to me, it was a thing where, I was really happy. I was like, hey, let's engage the fans. Let's really get them feel like they should sit here and watch this, because I could have easily skipped it.
Right.
I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to watch this. And then we get to see the Shinigami having a day on Earth, doing their own things, dressed in their own way. You really can see, as I mentioned earlier, that Kubo sits there and goes, this one would wear this one would wear that. Right. And then apparently we get Jin and Aizen at the end.
Yeah.
What did
you didn't
Jin
think
say?
I would appear in this OVA because it's filler, but no, I knew it was going to happen too.
Okay, he didn't say that. That's not
what
I know. What translated. I don't mean, but I think it was kind of like a, oh, hello, like, didn't expect me here, did you? There was a bit of that, though. Right. Yeah. It was hilarious. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So personally, I found it to be really fun, and it was just generally, as an OVA, it was really fun. And I think it was that moment, too, where you're like, oh, the movie's over. Wait, there might be something after credits. Oh, okay. And then you're sitting there, I assume, when they showed this, it was in, like, either a theater or at the very least, like, I pictured either a theater or, like, a convention room, because in my head I think of cons, right? So either one, it's like, oh, yeah, everything's fine. We're all good. Oh, my God, it's Sam. It's Sam there. And you immediately just start throwing a fuss up, like in every Marvel movie.
Yeah.
When the next credit scene is just like, dun, 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 Tony Stark,
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, before we stop everything, because it's like we're winding down here, finally. Not finally as in like, hooray, just like, wow, it's happening. We really like to thank you guys for listening to those guys, and we're just really happy you've been following us on this, I'll call it a Bleach journey, right?
Yeah.
Because there are some of you that may not have heard some of our other shows, right? You know, it would be lovely if you did, and I'll talk to you about them in a minute. But yeah, you know, you follow us on this Bleach journey. We've done all 4 movies, both OVAs, and as for the time being, we're done. I mean, maybe I'll talk to Tristan about what to do after he gets back from Africa, right? If there's anywhere we can go from there. But as of right now, I mean, we're done with the Bleach saga, if you will. We did, because we did all of the specials, all the OVAs. I mean, the only other thing I can think of that was released that counts as like whatever. I know there was an anime prequel to Hellverse, and there was like a little short that was actually a teaser for the anime with all the different captains, but it was a minute long, and it was basically just clips from the anime.
Right.
So it's clips that were going to be in the anime and were used in the anime, which were just all, you know, basically adapted from the manga. So we don't need to sit here for 30 minutes and be like, man, wasn't this clip cool?
Yeah,
5 seconds thing. Man, it was so cool. So we're here. We're done. We did it. We are the champions.
Find out what we're going to do next time on Those Guys.
But so yes, I love ending things with meh. I love doing it. Yeah. But anyway, so before we end the show, you want to say anything about the OVA? Do you think it was out of the 2 OVAs, do you like this one better? Because now we won't compare it to the movies. 2 OVAs, do you like this one better or? Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed them both equally, I think.
Damn it. I love the last one. It's like, we're at the last one. We're so much more experienced than when we first started. How do you feel? I don't know. Tristan?
Well, I mean, because personally I just feel like Bleach has kind of gone through phases throughout its entire series. And I think of, like, each phase differently, almost.
Right.
Like
Fair
the
enough.
beginning of Bleach versus, like, you know, the Visor part of Bleach, you know, stuff like that.
Right. So even though Bleach hasn't had its, like, Naruto and Naruto Shippuden or Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, it still, to you, understandably so, has had dividing parts of it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That if they change the name of Bleach, you'd understand. Okay, fair enough. I get you. But, yeah, I think I like this one a bit better. I love the last one a lot. But, I mean, the fact they took this was more creative because the other one was already done. So regardless of the plot holes, they tried. And that's what I like.
I'll give it that.
They tried. Yeah.
I mean, granted, I would love to actually see, like, maybe a small spin-off, like maybe just a few episodes or maybe even an OVA of, like, early stuff, you know, like maybe other Soul Reapers or other humans, like, dealing with Hollows in the living world, and maybe, like, the one, you know, Shinigami comes out and helps them out. Maybe not giving them their powers like, you know, Rukia to Ichigo, but, like, just helping out and shit, you know, stuff like that. Like, that was the stuff that really got me hooked into Bleach, you know?
Yes. But, so we're gonna end the show. We want to thank you guys for listening to Those Guys. I'm going to mention, you know, we have a lot of different shows that we've done. We've done WWE pay-per-views. We've done Dragon Ball Z films. We've done Dragon Ball films. We've done Dragon Ball OVAs, Dragon Ball Z OVAs. As you know, we've done Bleach movies, Bleach OVAs. We've also done, as I said, WWE. We've done WWE pay-per-views, WWE Monday Night Raw. We've done Natural. We've done Gotham, Arrow, Flash, Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, Black Dynamite, Mike Tyson Mysteries, Pokemon video games, and more. You can get all this on our website, thoseguysontherradio.tumblr.com. For social media updates, you can go on our Facebook, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, our Twitter @ThoseGuysRadio, our Instagram /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. You can find us on YouTube by searching TGOTR or Those Guys on the Radio. You can also find us on iTunes by doing the same, Those Guys on the Radio, or just Those Guys. You can definitely email us for any promotional opportunities. We would love to promote you on our show. Please email us at thoseguysontheradio@gmail.com. And, of course, we have exclusive podcasts and riffs that we've done. We have exclusive WWE pay-per-view podcasts on our Bandcamp, tgotr.bandcamp.com, and Matt's Riffs and Dubs.bandcamp.com is where we will be posting our future Dragon Ball Z riffs. Thank you all. Good night.
Good night.